So there are a few men I meet with regularly, and then some men I meet once, off. Now, when we meet, we talk. So we are bringing that man talk that we have here to include a few more people. Is that okay? So one time it hit me. So these men that I meet with, they are divided into age groups. So one time it hit me when I was meeting the men who were in their 40s. It hit all of us, let's say. That, when the nuts just keep getting what? Tighter. And they're like, uh-oh. So it hit me when I was meeting with the men the guys in 40s, that all of us had aging parents. And by aging parents, I don't mean your dad and mom only, because some of us don't have our dads and moms yet, rather still. But all those parents in that category. Now remember, there are some people that your dad and mom used to take care of. And you quickly realize that those people are now your responsibility. Or there are others who used to take care of your dad and mom. And now they are your responsibility. With age, this is man talk, okay? So don't go out there and say that I lost my faith. I didn't. But my experience is that with age, life seems to become more expensive. Yeah. When you wanted to go somewhere and you didn't have money, you walked. When you are in your teen years. When you are 60-something, you don't do that. In fact, even jumping on a border might seem inappropriate. And you can't arrive when you are all brown. And they're like, Grandpa, do you use... Do you get what I'm saying? I'm trying to bring this conversation to where we agree why we need to be here. So it hit us that now the responsibilities upstream, or whichever stream way you look at it, had increased. Auntie so-and-so, uncle so-and-so, yeah, you get, plus yours, auntie owner. And they don't have to express it. Yeah, whether they express it or not, in fact, they should never have to express it. You have to anticipate it before it's expressed. I'm talking about the guys in 40s. So you just realize your responsibilities, these ends. Now they consult you before family decisions are made. So that's this side. And you look and say, what is going on? Then you look this side and realize that your little kids who used to go around, Daddy, and all you needed to do was buy food at home and parent. They are now approaching university. And you are completely unprepared. What I've realized is that for most men here in Uganda, at least, we barely prepare for university fees. We don't prepare for any fees anyway. Yeah, no one is there. Oh, she's going to nursery. No. You play along as it goes. Now, there's just one small problem. All of us want our children to have a better experience than we hard. So if you went to Makerere, the great Makerere, and your people are approaching university age, you're trying to think beyond Makerere. Now, when you go to Makerere, you can get a government scholarship. If you do well, you can argue with the university administration. You can break branches of trees and go to Wandegeya shouting because they have increased the fees by 200,000 Uganda shillings. So when you decide, I think these people should go a little bit higher than where I went, then you look at the research. They send you the tuition. You're like, what? Is this on earth or? I was talking to a friend whose daughter is going to university. But he's from here, not in Uganda, one of the countries around. But he has dual citizenship, so he's a citizen in another country. And he said that the fee came to about $70,000 per year. The one where she wanted to go. I don't know whether you're computing into Uganda shillings. And he said, what is saving him is there is a partial scholarship for the fact that she's going to a university in her state. And then another one because she's going to a university in her city. So because of dual citizenship, the young lady is a citizen of that country. And so there's almost half is shoved off because it's within the state bears that cost. And another portion because it is within the city. So instead of 70, you may end up having to fork out about 20,000 a year. Which is like 20,000. Now, this is not a good time to ask anyone to put up their hands if they have anyone approaching university and what they've done about it. And so usually, the solution is sell something. Sell something. Now, to sell something, you need to have bought it. Otherwise, you're going to be selling family stuff that you didn't buy. What a shock. Then it hit me, by the time you're in your 40s, you need to have been preparing from teenage years. And for us, we hadn't prepared. Now, we hadn't prepared, and yet people look up to us. They think we are the ones who are a little bit almost okay. So I started thinking, who else out there is unprepared? And maybe we need to come together and just pray together. Encourage one another. Yeah. And then I said, okay, there are those of us who are unprepared and we are in panic mode now. Because you can't just decide that you will not do anything. Now then I started thinking, how about those who in their 30s who at least they should give themselves more years to panic into the right position. So I have another group of men in their 30s. Then I realized that exactly what we did in our 30s to not prepare is what they are doing right now. And I was like, what a shock. So I said, this thing is just repeating itself. So So I said, let me look around and see if there are any people in their 20s who maybe have a deeper revelation, who are doing. And I found out, no, everyone is waiting to make their own mistakes. And so we run out of time, we panic, we cry, and we repeat. The cycle repeats itself. And I said, can't we do something about this cycle thing? Yeah, maybe 10 men will decide to prepare themselves or something. So that's how we end up here in this man talk. And we have someone has sent me something helpful. So we have some people here in their teens, in their teen years, who registered. About 13 of you. You're very welcome. Thank you for the early start. The biggest number of people here, thankfully, are the people in their 20s. All those in your 20s, can you stand up and we welcome you? 20s. 20s. Please, I meant 20s. I don't know why are some people standing. 20s, only 20s. Yes, yes. Thank you for coming. It's, yeah. The next biggest group are those in their 30s. 30s men. Can I have the 30s men stand up? Hey, woo, 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 woo. Yes, you're welcome. Now, then we have those who are in the category I just described. The men whose the pressure is on. Men in their 40s. Can we welcome the 40s? These are the elders. Hey. Yes, this is the prayer team. These are the ones who will be praying together. 40s. Prayer warriors. Then we have some statesmen in our midst. Those who have gone ahead of us that we need to honor. The men who are 50 plus. Can you stand and we welcome you? 50 plus. Yeah! Glorious! You're welcome, gentlemen. You're welcome. Hey, those are the ones to take you for coffee. If you're looking for someone to, don't do what Chris and his friends used to do. Talking to each other, just, where the wisdom is the same. So the ones to say, take me for coffee, they may not necessarily share with you their success stories. The greater value might be in their mistakes. Like this, please. This, that. Yeah? They say, if you want to know what's happening, where you're going, ask those who are coming back. Yeah. So, if you hear of another man talk, will you come? Will you bring other men? Yeah, because I tell you, we are men, we just want to find out for ourselves that it doesn't work. And mostly we are finding out it doesn't work. We are not finding out what works. We are finding out it doesn't work through our own experiences. Now, today, I just want us to deal with one thing only. Because men, we have many things to talk about. Women, money, I don't know what, mistakes. I used to have a friend who used to say, this is how you know when you've grown up. That I will not say it's that. No. I don't even remember the full thing. Yeah. You know, they say when you start going to prison, funerals, and I don't know, I remember a third thing he said. I say, what? So you may find that some people, you've never been arrested. So you don't have that experience. Now talk to those who have. Yeah, they are coming back. Don't think you have to be a bad person to be arrested. No. You can be arrested because you're a good person. So anyway, Ecclesiastes 3, 1-8. First of all, gratitude to all the men who have helped put together this event. Pastor Jeremy, the band, the network leaders, the pastors, thank you. We also have some our friends here who are pastors of other churches. Thank you for coming and bringing some of the men. Ecclesiastes, it says, to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck what is planted. We can read together, right? A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to gain and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. To everything there is a season. All right? And a time for every purpose. Now, a lot of the pain we are dealing with as men is a timing problem. It's not everything, but you'll find that just this one thing, timing, can bring a lot of issues in your life, in my life, and in the lives of many people for years to come across many countries, just because we didn't understand the time. The Bible talks of the sons of Issachar who understood the times. Now, time, there are two times in the Bible. There is Chronos, which is, it's 24-10. That's Chronos. Then there is Kairos, divine timing for specific purposes. So you find that when certain things don't, when your Kairos and Chronos are not integrated, do you know what I'm saying? Like certain divine purposes are happening off the timing of your life, the years, then you do not gain the kind of efficiency and speed that you could have. Now, there are outliers. There are people like Moses. 8 years is just getting started. Those are outliers. So don't consider yourself to be one of the outliers. There is general wisdom that applies to most people. 99% or 99.9%. For example, going to school. Yeah. You can't say, so-and-so did well by not going. Also, I will not go. You're referring to an outlier. For most people, going to school is part and parcel of the package of going somewhere with your life. So you can't be going with outliers, And men, sometimes we like to live in a different world from the reality that faces us. That's why you find people who talk stuff. But when you look at their lives, you're like, man, your talk and your reality, I can't understand who you are. They will tell you the latest research about what, but they can't handle the basics. So we can't be those kind of men who, in our minds, you run away from the reality you're facing. So you cop out. You know, some people, they go drinking, smoking, womanizing because they are not Christians. Now, for the Christians, they don't have those options. So they take the direction of talking. Because talking, high-mindedness, and saying things that are not there. I feel like it's our version of drinking. Yeah, we talk. So we have to get rid of that. So there is a purpose for everything. Now, I started to think about this in terms of flight, an aeroplane, right? There are 5 stages of a flight. 5. There is a 6th, but I will focus on 5. Stage 1 is take off. Okay? That's what? Stage 1. The airplane is on the runway, ready to take off. Now, again, if you are the outlier type of thinker, you're going to say, but there are these ones which just lift like this. Please, we are talking about. You see, eh? Yeah. So anyway, stage 1 is take off. To take off, there must be a runway, and you must gain a certain speed. Now, most people are too slow for takeoff. So they mostly live their lives on the ground, even though they were made to fly. Now, I told you there are 5 stages, but there's a 6th. Let me talk about the 6th so we get it out of the way. It is the one before takeoff, which is preparation for takeoff. Yeah, you prepare. Yeah, checklist, what? Yeah. Taxiing, is everything in? Are the doors closed? It's a whole process. Meanwhile, and I have prepared in my notes here, I've tried to put general age correlations to the stages. Yeah. So like preparation really should be from 0 to 20. Yeah, 0 to 20 is preparation. You go to school, learn how to count. Now, some people can't count even up to now. Yeah, learn how to count numeracy. Learn how to read, to write, and to relate. Those are the core things. Count, read, write, and to relate. If you don't make friends in the first 20 years of your life, it's very unlikely you're going to learn how to make friends later. So that's preparation stage. The aircraft is being fueled, all of that. Passengers are getting on. So by takeoff, all the preps must be done. Yeah. You know, this business of you're on a border. It is what? Kusikaring. Then you need to find the nearest petrol station to refuel. Ozoka kuunzika. No fuamu. That stuff doesn't work with an airplane. Yeah. Mama sao. Tunonya petrol station mubanga. No. You have to prepare. And one of these days I'm going to preach a sermon on the power of sacrifice. When we were going to school, I started going to school in the village school. The other people who were brighter than us, in quotes, were going to cut sugar canes because they were making money. You see, there's a time for everything. There's a time not to make money. There's a time not to make money. You're in school studying. For them, they were making money cutting sugar canes. And they made the rest of us who didn't have money look broke. Because they had the cash, daily cash. You cut, there is no salary. You cut, you're paid that day. Yeah. So when you go to the trading center, you're the broke ones. Now when I go to the village, the thing flipped. Those who were busy preparing by going to school and studying are miles ahead of those who were making money when they should have been studying. Now, that also is wisdom. What are you doing at what stage? So I think that the early years 0 to 20 are for preparation. And as fathers, we should insist that our children understand that. Okay. Plus all the other children, because your children are going to end up marrying the other children. So, what? Don't do only for yours. You get ecosystems. If you are the only one doing okay, you are in serious problems. Because your kids are not going to marry each other. They are going to go marry the other people who are not helped. So you have to help everyone. Yeah, it just makes sense. So then, takeoff, I believe, is 20 to 30. I'll show you some scriptures later. But anyone who moves slowly in their 20s is not going anywhere. Your 20s is high speed. You have to gain momentum. You have to gain a certain speed to be ready to go. 20s is the time to marry. Yeah. That's when, you see, marriage requires a certain level of stupidity. Yeah, when you're salivating, when you look at the girl, your brain is switched off, and you're like, you're led by your, I don't know what it is, hormones. That's the age group. Yes. Things are cheap. Dating is cheap. You just go out there, chips, chaps, chili sauce, chikarai. I'm telling you, those of you in your 20s, and because this is a men's meeting, you know when the ladies are around, I have to be sensitive not to hurt people's feelings. Because Bambi, for them, they have to wait for someone to talk to them. Even though also, sometimes, yeah. So they don't know that a time will come and they will regret all the men they turned down in their 20s. But now I have to talk to you, those of us who are here and you're in your 20s and you're thinking, look, this is the time to get married. Marriage is a sacrifice. Yeah. Don't think you'll ever get married and be there where you only get the benefits without any investments and personal sacrifices. It will never happen, even when you're a grace preacher like myself. Have you understood? So that's why it needs to be done in your 20s, because somehow your brain is switched off a little bit. And before you know it, you're married and you're like, oh, what did I get myself into? But you got yourself into it. Now you can't get out. Now, once you wait into your 30s, you now are calculating. When you think about marrying, you're thinking about all the things that you shouldn't be thinking about. It's no longer a romantic issue. It's business, logic, strategy. It's as if you're playing chess. Some people, that's how it's like a chess game. Wow. It's chess. You're like, now, when you hit your 40s, it's not even chess. Military strategy. Deploying forces. You can't even talk to the person yourself. You have to send an uncle. Other people go. The parents here go to Banango, Mwana, thing. We are running out of time, but we've seen you have a good girl. It's not even. So when you hear people who say, oh, we fell in love, we are best friends, they're like, be what? Best what? So there is a time for everything. So 20s, marry. Find a girl. Marry. Forget this business of trying to have the wedding of a mayor. You are not a mayor. You are not a mayor. Don't be fooled. Oh, yes. Cut pizza and let's go. This is serious. I got married in my 20s. I'm still trying to remember how old I was. I was late. I was late. Let me see. Let me remember. No. I couldn't have got to 28. That would be too late now. I think I was 27. I was 27. I was 27. She was 24. We took off. Enough energy. Enough energy. Higher focus plus intensity equals momentum. So I got married when I was 27. I was broke. I didn't have money. I was working as an architect, and where I was working, they agreed to give me a basic salary. And then I was supposed to make money off the projects I would design and supervise on commissions. So my basic was 150K. Now, because I was too much into preaching, going on missions, I wasn't making. The commissions were barely there. Then got this girl from her parents' home, educated people, professors, to cut my house. Wow. Then one time we didn't pay rent for 4 months. 4 months. No rent paid. No money. Oh, yes. There is a time for everything. We couldn't pay. But we were married. Now we collect rent. Yeah, there's a time for everything. So now some of you want to first collect rent before you marry. First sit down and I'll tell you a little bit more. You know, I'm not a doctor, but the doctors say, Mbu, around 25 is when all systems are firing on all cylinders at full blast. Yeah. I'm told that 25 is when sperm count is at its highest. Engine is V8. Erinane Nitro. Yeah. Take off. Now, you can't wait when now you need to first go see the doctor. Say, I'm getting married, but I'm not so sure whether. Yeah, special diets to get married. No. Why are people looking at me like that? Am I saying things that are not there? I told you I'm not a doctor. But I'm telling you what the doctors have told us. Yeah, that's why most of your temptations in your later teens and 20s are sexual temptations. Yeah. That should give you an idea. Don't think 80-year-olds are there wondering. No. Yeah, I was listening to a podcast by an 80-something-year-old pastor, and he said that when he was in his 20s, most of his temptations were sexual temptations. It's now that he's in his 80s, that's not something he has to worry about. His temptations are different. They are fear. Yeah, the fear of the future, the fear of death. Those are his temptations now. Now when you're in your 20s, those are not your temptations. Yeah. Am I making sense? Now, if you are annoyed with the wrong person. Me, I'm just telling you, yeah. This is man talk. So in your 20s, you should marry. Find a girl and marry. Can I tell you something else? It doesn't matter. Because some of you are like, if I get someone who is not the right person. Look, it doesn't matter who you marry. You will always have temptations about other women that you didn't marry. Yeah, I know some of you are now saying, now he's not spiritual. You're joking. Oh yeah, I'm just warning you so that when it comes, you don't think you are the devil. You should know how to respond to that challenge. Apart from you, I've never talked to a man who is married and they are open enough, who has never confessed to having liked another girl who is not his wife. I'm speaking. Yeah. Oh, yes. So those of you are waiting because you're thinking, wait. Look, even after you've waited for all those years, then you find one where you say, okay, this one is the one. One day you'll be there minding your business, then someone will walk like this and you'll be like, oh, yes. And you buy shades. You start walking around with shades because you no longer want to see. Oh, yeah. Hey. So find a girl you like and marry. Yeah. I have a few handshakes here. So don't be there thinking that you're going to marry someone from heaven or about who is what, where they'll never be. No, please. Yeah. No. Yeah. Even King David. You ask King David. Yeah. And moreover, for him, he already had many, but still was tempted by another one. For those of you who think by having two, you will not be tempted, ask King David. So stick with one. The temptation will come, whether you have one or two or three. So don't go all those things. Just stay with one and then deal with the temptations as they come. Yeah. Yes. Now, sit down. I tell you something else to do in your 20s. I'm covering the 20s because they are the majority. First. The other thing is, remember we are in takeoff stage. We are in takeoff stage. Now, let me share with you a couple of scriptures, then we'll come back to that picture. And I show you why it is important. Exodus 30, 11 to 14. Because I want to demystify some things you may be carrying in your head as a 20-year-old, a 23-year-old, a 27-year-old. Then the Lord spoke to Moses saying, let's read together. The Lord spoke to Moses saying, when you take the census of the children of Israel for their numbers, then every man shall give a ransom for himself to the Lord. Everyone shall give a ransom for who? When you number them, there may be no plague among them when you number them. This is what everyone among those who are numbered shall give. Half a shekel according to the shekel of the sanctuary. The shekel is 20 gerahs. The half shekel shall be an offering to the Lord. Verse 14. Everyone included among those who are numbered from 20 years old and above shall give an offering to the Lord. Yeah, a ransom for himself from what age? 20. Whoever told you that you considered a grown up at 35 deceived. It's a lie. From 20 you should be you are a man. You're ready to set up your household. You give a ransom for yourself. You give an offering. You don't get your parents to give an offering for you. Oh, yes. Leviticus 27:3. If your valuation of a male from 20 years old up to 60 years old, then they give that 20 to 60. That 40-year window is crucial. Okay. I'm going to assume that you have understood. Now, Numbers 1 to 3. Now the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the tabernacle meeting on the first day of the second month in the second year after they had come out of the land of Egypt, saying, take a census of all the congregation of the children of Israel by their families, by their fathers' houses, according to the number of names, every male individually, next verse, from 20 years old and above. All who are able to go to war from 20 years, you qualify to fight for the nation, for yourself, for your family, for your neighborhood. Now, things are trying to become tricky. 35, mommy's boy, in mommy's house, eating mommy's food. What a shock! Watching mommy's TV. Driving mommy's car. Why the people this side don't seem to like what I'm preaching? Yeah. Especially the people around there, they don't seem to like what I'm preaching. Yeah, I'm talking about 35. Using mommy's Wi-Fi. Being driven by mommy's driver in mommy's car. Using mommy's, I don't know what, 35. What? What a shock. Oh yes. Now, in other words, you are still, your plane hasn't yet taken off. When are we flying? 35. What a shock. So 20s is take off. Marry. Of course, to marry, you have to move out. Move out, marry, and determine your career direction. 20s is the time to decide. You have a whole 10-year window to figure out where am I going. Because you first get a basic degree, which is really counting and whatever. And then you start, 20s is the time to study for what you're going to do in life. Forget university. Forget your bachelor's. That's not what you're going to do in life. That's just to learn how to relate and to think. That's why you write a dissertation showing you can think. So after you have your diploma or degree, then you start studying for what you're going to do in life. I'm just trying to show you because a lot of people have made mistakes. They got their bachelor's of, I will not say what it is, and started walking around with papers looking for what? And then the job didn't come. That should have told you your value is not yet good enough for the market. Yeah, that's the time to now study for the thing you're going to do. If you're a doctor, that's the time to specialize. If you're going to be a gynecologist, are you going to be, what are the others? Pediatrician, surgeon, ophthalmologist, that's the time. If you're into money things, that's when you now do your professional courses. SCCA, PGA, KKK, whatever. SFFG. Am I making sense? That's the 20s. That's when you go hard to do your, if you masters, do it, get it out of the way, whatever it is. You are in takeoff mode. You're establishing yourself, getting ready for the lift section. So, to prepare, educate yourself. The 20s is when you lift heavy weights of everything. Heavy weights socially. You get married. You get established in a direction you're going to take. 20s is the time to fast and pray like crazy, prayer mountain, fasting week in, week out. Because, I'm telling you, some people here, I will not tell you their age group, but some people have to talk to their doctors before they can fast. The pastor announces we are fasting. They're like, I need to talk to my doctor first. Yeah, because it can be dangerous to their life. Now, 20s is the time to seek God. It's the time to read your Bible and know which book is where, who said what, whichever. It's 20s. 20s. 20s is when we went to Prayer Mountain, prayed in the rain the whole weekend, fasted the whole time at uni, read cover to cover, KJV, all of that stuff. It's 20s. So if you're in your 20s, I'm telling you, you're in takeoff stage, and you'd better use it well in order for the next phase of the journey to work for you. Makes sense? Okay, sit down. Let's see. Hey. Now, enter the 30s. Enter the what? Remember, there's a time for every seasons of life. Now, 30s. If you've done your 20s well, you've got all these things set up. You know who your life mate is. You've decided what you're going to do in life. If you're a pastor, you know this is what I'm going to do. If you're this or that. Now, 30s is lift. Climb. 20s is when you take off. At some point, when you gain enough velocity, whoop. Now, when you take off, this stage of the flight is very important. This is not the time for the pilot to ask for a drink from wherever they serve it from, and start shutting off the engines. You're going to go down. This is called the climb phase. The fuel being used is a lot, and you're gaining what? Altitude. 30s is the time to gain altitude, to climb. Okay? I'm going to, let me just tell you a little bit. Let me give you just 3 examples. When Moses appeared before Pharaoh, ready to take on Egypt, he was 30. 30. When the elders of Israel came to David and told him, anointed him to be their king, he was 30. When Jesus began his ministry, he was 30. By 30, that's why I told you in 20s, decide where you're going, because by 30, you need to have chosen the direction. You can't be climbing in the wrong direction. Yeah, that's why at the climb stage, if you were, because of how the airport is laid out, if you're going this side, but the plane had to take off in this direction for wind or whatever it is, that's when they are turning to face where you're going. 30 is climb. By 30, you have decided, I'm going to be this. I'm going to do this. This is what my life's work is going to be. And then you start pounding hard. Momentum. Focus plus intensity. From 30 to 40. That's if you're a researcher, professor, that's when you're publishing papers. Oh yeah. Now, while I'm telling you all of this, you might be having examples running through your head. I want you to know that most examples of people you know around are actually not good examples. Yeah, it is people who have made the mistakes we are trying to avoid. People are doing in their 50s what they should have done in their 30s. So don't go with that, because they are wishing that someone had had this conversation when they were in their 30s. Am I making sense? So 30s is climb time. I've already told you. Genesis 41:46 tells you Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh. 2 Samuel 5, for David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. Luke 3:23, Jesus himself began ministry at about 30 years of age. So 30 is when you are climbing. Now you've taken off, you know where you're going. Yeah. So 30s is when you are climbing. So if you're a career person, that's when you are gaining momentum, getting into different layers. 30s, you have a young family. That's the time to parent, the early stages, taking care of the kids, taking care of your marriage, because now you're doing a lot of work in the marketplace. This is when the marriage can suffer if you're not careful. All right? You're making sacrifices. Now, let me bring up something sensitive. Say sensitive. 30s is when, and you know there are so many schools of thought about this, and I subscribe to some of them, which are contrary to what I'm about to tell you, but in terms of general wisdom, because I'm talking about general wisdom, not outliers. 30s is when you build a house. Build and get done with it. Yeah. 30s is when you go and some friends tell you about a plot in a village somewhere far. Meanwhile, you live in an apartment in Chiwatule. But they are telling you there is this village called what. You're like, I can't buy a plot. I can't live in that village. No, you're deluded. In your 40s, you'll be wishing you had gone. And yeah. When we bought the property where we live in Chitukutwe, a plot was 6.5 million. 6.5. About a year later, so then 6.5, then we started building. Then my neighbor tried to sell me a plot. I offered him 15 million, he insisted on 16. I didn't buy. I'm trying to buy a plot in the neighborhood. Last night, I was trying to negotiate a guy down from 75 million, and he was not moving. This is 50 by 100. And he said, you know, they are tarmacking that road. If you don't buy now, because someone else next to him, he wants 85. 50 by 100. This was a village. Now, many of you have too much English. Look, just because you go to a bar in Kololo doesn't mean that you know, part of growing up is to understand what you can handle. And you stop thinking like a child. You know, children don't know the prices of land. Yeah, if you walk around with a childish person, they will look at a piece of land and say, I think we can buy that. And you'll be like, do you even know what you're talking about? Oh, yes. It hasn't occurred to you people. You walk around with a childish person, they think they are practicing faith, but they are just being a child. They don't know that this thing called land gains value quickly in our economy because we are a growing nation with the majority of us below 20. It gains value quickly. The longer you take to buy, the more expensive it becomes. And because you went to Makerere and lived in an apartment in Kamocha, and when they tell you Chiwologoma, you're like, what village? What? Chengera chekoze chitia. Yeah. People now are building towards Kalaji. If you take the road from Gayaza to Kalaji, there's whole estates that side. Zero way. Whole developments that side. Masaka Road, Maya, Wat, Mpiji. Ginger Road, now Mukono people are now going towards Nama Ojolo, they are going to be eating chicken like the whole time. I'm telling you. But you're here, telling you buy land, you want to buy in Nalia. In Nalia, a tiny plot is going to cut you back 300 million. Yeah, if you find it. There is also that problem of finding it. In Chitukura, where I live now, an acre, if you find it, is not going to go less than 600, 700 million. What do you think? What happened? That's what we used to pay for an acre around Nalia. Now, please, they even look at this. Relax. So when you hear that there is an estate in some village which is very unappealing to you, and you're in your late 20s, early 30s, go buy the plot at Takaterivunda. Soil doesn't, is it land, not soil? Land doesn't rot. It will always be there. Now I'm telling you now, these are the mistakes some of us have made. Now we are in catch-up mode. We are in catch-up mode trying to build houses in our 40s. That's why we don't have tuition. If we had built in our 30s, we would be now saving up tuition. Now we are not saving any tuition because we are still building. And now we have to take care of other people. If you come back one day, we'll talk about money and what you can do about these stages. And I'm sure there are recovery mechanisms. And besides, we are people of faith, but I haven't reached that part yet. I'm still trying to show you what should have happened by what stage. So 30s is climb. You're pounding hard. You arrive early at work. You leave late. Young family, trying to manage your weekends, the kids, this, that. You're making sacrifices. Many people in their 30s, instead of making sacrifices, they are drinking, they are hanging out, they are whatevering. That's a big mistake. You know, because when you hit your 30s and you're on a climb, wherever you work, they are going to start paying you a little bit more. Now, that little bit more money starts to affect people's brains. Instead of investing and making sacrifices, they start harvesting. They think it's time for the harvest. It's time to cash in on life. No, please. Nope. You're still climbing. And if you do your 30s well, do you know what happens when you hit 40s? 40s. Cruise. Now, cruise is deceptive. Now, the reason some of us in our 40s are working as if we are in our 30s is because we didn't do what we needed to do in our 30s. Am I telling you the truth? Yeah. The things we should have done in our 30s, starting to make investments, building a house, settling down the family, we are doing in our 40s. So we are 10 years behind schedule. So that's why we work so hard in our 40s as if we are in our 30s. But in your 40s, actually it's not 40s, 40s and 50s, I've called it cruise. Cruise is you are having maximum results and efficiency with systemic inputs. So at that stage, the airplane is actually not using as much fuel as it was using in climb. They're using very little fuel, but speed. Everything is maximized. That's when the passengers are most comfortable. That's when they tell them you can now remove your seatbelts, you can go to the bathroom. That's when they start serving something to eat and to drink. That's your 40s, 50s. But it only works if you were climbing in your 30s. Now, people who you hit your 40s, then you saw the ground coming. You tried to cruise before you climbed. Don't put up your hands, but I know what I'm talking about. So now they are... Eh? You're supposed to be... handling teenagers, but now you are in the... No, your profession, sir. You're visiting you're going to the... You are escorting the antenatal. 45. Is this not a good message? You don't want to hear this. Yeah. Yeah. Antenatal. You're supposed to be handling teenagers. Getting ready for college. Antenatal. I'm telling you, for those of us in our 40s, please receive this message so that we encourage the younger ones. Don't think I'm talking about you only. I'm talking about me also. But we have to do it for the others so that, why are we? We are supposed to be cruising. This is when you have all sorts of systems around you to help you maximize your life. Because in your 40s, certain functions of your brain shouldn't be like, everything should be systemized. Where do you keep the keys? What time does this open? How does this work? This is what I like to say. You don't have people in their 40s like, where are the keys? Because you didn't put them in the right place. You don't have systems around you to help you maximize. Why you're still climbing? Because you neglected the climb in your 30s. 40s, 50s, you should be a systems person. You're not innovating anything. By this stage, things are set up. You're maximizing your time. Your 1 day is like 3 days in a normal person's life. These are 40s and 50s. Every day you put out output for a week. Oh yes, because you've built systems. 40s is not you're a solo rider trying to do this. You are the one who wants to go yourself. And should I be preaching this? There are people looking at me. One time I heard Bishop Oyedepo say that he hadn't been, I think someone was quoting him, he hadn't been to a supermarket, to a shop to buy anything. Huh? Yeah. For how long? For 30 years. I said, it's not part of my assignment. It's not part of my assignment to go buying things. Then it occurred to me that every time I left here, going home, I would pass by Quality Supermarket, shopping, do what. Then I realized I haven't been there for maybe 1.5 years now. I haven't been to a supermarket. Yeah. Because every hour of yours in this stage should be equal to 5 hours of production. So you have systems around you. You push one thing and 25 things happen at the same time. That's how it should be. And don't look at me like that. I'm just telling you. So if you are between 40 and 50, you have to change your tire by yourself. You think you're being a man. And I'm a man. You do your own car servicing. You buy, I don't know what it is. There is something called opportunity cost, which is for every 5 minutes you spend doing that thing, what is it that you should have done that didn't get done that is of a much higher value. Because when you consider your value for the minute, if you are being paid for your value, if you know what it is. Sometime when I used to do professional speaking, I still do once in a while, I would charge 1 million an hour. 1 million shillings an hour. Okay? So let's say there is 2 hours of preparation that go into the 1 hour. So it's 1 for 3 hours. So if your 3 hours cost 1 million shillings, and then you decide to use one of those hours to go shopping, do you realize that the things you're buying are cheaper than the time you've spent buying them? And there are so many people who would be happy to do that for you if you compensated their time. And it would be cheaper than your time. I'm talking to people in their 40s and 50s who should be systemized by now. 40s and 50s, you have a system. Your whole home is a system. Who does what? Look, even in our home, even my wife doesn't get involved in any all of that because she entered her 40s. So there is a system. There are people who manage the home. We give them money, they know what to buy, where to buy it, how to cook it, and how to serve it, etc. We don't have time to waste. And some of you get your wife and you decide that they are going to be the system. Is she in her teens? I'm frozen. Yeah, I know I'm talking rare language, but I'm trying to prepare you. Those of you in your 20s and 30s who are the majority here. And those who are in your 40s to help you to start rethinking some of your things. Because your time becomes incredibly valuable. At this stage, they are using very little fuel and maximum speed and advancement to their destination. 40 to 50, 40 to 60, this should be the season of minimum fuel, maximum speed. Minimum fuel, maximum speed. This is not when you're building your house of surviving, or where will the children and whatever. No, at this stage you're building investment-related things. You're building this, that. You're involved in so many building projects, but they have nothing to do with your survival. This is when now your life is way beyond you and your family. It's for the whole city, town, community. The way you think. Because remember, this is that stage when they bring out the drinks and the eats. They go around serving people on the plane. What will you have? People are able to relax a bit. Yeah. This is when life is real happening. Now, when you didn't make the sacrifices of the 20s and the 30s, there is no life happening. Yeah. You don't have systems. You're still like that. Okay, am I making sense? I must start closing. You get it? So 40s, 50s is cruise. 60 to 70, descent. You start preparing to land. You start preparing to land. It doesn't matter how long you want to stay in the sky. at some point. Yeah, so either you prepare to land or you go and have a crash. And a lot of people leave Earth in crash mode. No succession plans, no disciples made, no investments made, no nothing. No one mentored, no one prepared. Just out. And then everyone starts rebuilding from scratch. That shall not be you. That shall not be me. Yeah. Prepare for descent, handing over, mentoring. You become a statesman. What you do, who you are, is of much higher value than what you do at that stage. At that stage, your value is just being. Yeah, well, when you show up, you don't even have to say anything. The fact that you showed up, that's enough. Yeah. But you know how you can be that? If you did the right things in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. Otherwise, you find yourself at 60 and you're trying to build a house because you were going to the buying Kololo. And you thought that those who were buying land in Nakasajja were stupid. And I don't know wherever. All the villages that don't make sense to you at all. Most people who work in formal environments get serious health issues 2 to 5 years after retirement at this age because they did not prepare. They thought that the job is all the way to heaven. Yeah. And so a lot of people die, especially men, in that stage because of pressure in life and health issues to do with the pressure of not having prepared. I'm a pastor, so I know all the people that I escort to bury their parents. And I know that's it. And I know that's the problem. Now, I don't want you to be one of those. Start now. Prepare for descent. And then 70 plus, all the way to wherever you want to go, is what? Landing. Touchdown. Comfortable. By that time, you should have a lot of investments, a lot of money, grandchildren, what? Your whole life, eh? Yeah, that's not the time to be thinking, please. That's the time to just, yeah, you're closing down. You're like, you get the idea. Now, let me finish with this thought. All those, by the way, I had scriptures here, but I ran out of time. I want to finish with the thought of the 40-year arc of flight. 40-year arc of flight, as revealed in the scriptures. David reigned 40 years. Yeah? He became king at 30, and he reigned for 40 years. We consider him a great man. Is there anyone who doesn't consider David a great man? His son Solomon reigned 40 years. Solomon reigned 40 years. It is disputed as to when he began, but most people put his beginning at 15. Yeah, Solomon began at 15 to reign as king of Israel. Most scholars put him at 15. Some put him at 12. But most put him at 15. 15, the greatest king of Israel. 15 years he started, and he reigned 40 years. The man who achieved great things. He had an early start, you could say. and he made good use of it. But the point I want to make is the 40 years. Now, some of these other people, I had scriptures here which want to encourage you at all, like Isaac and Esau, they married at 40. No wonder they had the problems they did. Do you remember Isaac's? Look, the guy was so docile, they had to send for a wife for him. Remember that? Rebecca. He didn't even go to find a wife. They had to send other people. That's why 40 years. I think I should just look straight. Because some people might think I'm looking at them. I'm not looking at you. I can't do it with my eyes closed. What a shock. Now, Eli was a priest for 40 years. Samuel judged Israel 40 years. Moses led for 40 years. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you that Paul the Apostle, started at 30 also. Yeah. So there seems to be something beautiful about 40 years. Rick Warren, one of the most influential pastors of our generation, started the church, Saddleback, and his plan was to lead it for 40 years and hand over, and he recently handed over. He started in 1982, either 82 or 81, and they recently handed over to a new pastor. So, do you have a 40-year arc where you maximize the 40 years so that when you start descent, you have a proper handing over process? And the handing over process, if you do a good one, might take you about 10 years. It's not those things of, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. Guys, take care. No. 10 years transition. Little bit by little bit until your hands are off the controls of whatever it is. Now I'm talking to people who consider themselves great and you think you're going to do something great. Have a 40-year arc that you're working with. If you started the thing at 20, have a 40-year arc. By 60, you should have completely handed over. So that's why I'm telling you that 30 to 60 is critical. Because 30 to 60 is your firing on all cylinders, with that cruise being 40 to 60. And then 60 to 70, relative to what we shared. You may be a Solomon and you started early. You may be a Jacob, or rather an Isaac, Lord have mercy. But then those last 10 years are critical for future success when you are away. So you have to do it really well. Does this make sense?